At a time when most other states are closing down state parks to save money or significantly increasing entrance fees, our administration has been committed to keeping all the parks accessible to everyone who wants to enjoy them. And we've made a park system the priority of this administration in terms of our environmental efforts for that very reason. So, in order to keep these assets open and available and affordable for residents, Commissioner Martin and the DEP have come to me with a new innovative strategy that will generate sustainable and secure revenues while at the same time enhance the parks by improving and expanding the services that they offer to the public. It will also mean entrance fees will not change. Our number one priority with the strategy is keeping the state park system not only open but affordable. People can't afford to come there. Doesn't matter whether you keep them open or not. And so we want to keep that where it is right now. These are the types of new approaches that government must take in today's reality, and that's exactly what we said we would do in this administration, with innovative approaches to fund ongoing spending commitments in a sustainable and common sense way without having to rely on additional funds from our taxpayers directly. So the new park strategy has two phases, focusing on short and long-term revenue growth. The goal of Phase 1 is to increase non-tax resources to $15 million by 2015 through an initial round of partnerships with the private sector and nonprofit organizations and environmental foundations at some of the state's largest parks. The longer-term goal of Phase 2 is to raise about 2/3 of the annual operating budget for the state park system from alternative funding sources, thereby greatly reducing reliance on the state budget while increasing overall funding for our state parks. Some of these projects are already underway, such as significant restructuring of state park concessions, with the goal of having multi-capable concessionaires handle services like food service, boat rentals, or lifeguards. As a result, park-sustaining revenue will begin to be realized from these projects by as early as the end of next year. New revenues will be generated from a combination of earnings from new and expanded services, some small fee increases for some park uses, use of partnerships that will bring in new expertise to produce new revenue opportunities, and use of outside professionals for specialized and non-DEP functions. This new model also will improve visitor services and amenities, making the park experience more rewarding for millions of visitors, while allowing Commissioner Martin and his team at the DEP to focus resources on stewardship of these important natural, historic, and cultural assets. Expanding current capabilities will not by itself generate enough additional revenue to sustain the parks. A second parallel effort is required to establish a new operational excellence philosophy based on each park offering unique park-centric amenities that provide value to our constituents and funding for the parks. The department's strategy is designed to generate 38% of the park system's operating budget by 2015. With projects such as the RFP for Liberty State Park concessions, leasing of the state's golf courses, and identification of pilot sites for the installation of solar arrays, the state will begin to see some revenue generated by these projects by the end of next year as well. State parks and forests and historic sites are among New Jersey's most treasured assets, and our administration is firmly committed to keeping them open. This plan, this type of partnership, it provides a more stable and sustainable source of funding to preserve and improve these invaluable resources for future generations. And, this is all about the tough choices that need to be made from a fiscal perspective without having to sacrifice some of the real opportunities that make New Jersey such a special place. And so our job in this administration, as I see it, is to be innovative and to think differently. And we can all go back to the old ways of doing things, but when the economic cycles occur, it puts resources like this at great risk. And so we can't have them be at risk in that way. And so the more we can lessen their dependence on general operating budget funds and have them generating their own funds to sustain them, the better off we're going to be as a state, because those parks are not going to then be at risk to the vagaries of who's running what administration, who's controlling the legislature, and what portion of the economic cycle, upturn or downturn, we're in. So hopefully, as we move forward on this will allow us to have the type of sustainable funding we need to make our parks continue to be better, to continue to leave them open and accessible to folks, and to continue to have them be like Liberty State Park is, a symbol for some of the greatest things about our state.